Welcome, Judith. Thank you so much for joining me today. Judith is actually a client and she has just completed a year of coaching with me, which is really exciting. It's actually crazy to think that a year has passed. So welcome, Judith.
Thank you very much, Ilonka. Yeah, what a journey. It's been a journey and it's been lovely. Yeah. Excited.
I think that there's been so many I was actually looking at very similar to what you did when we had this discussion prior to the podcast episode being recorded. We talked about all of the wins and things that you were celebrating around coaching. And I was looking at our notes and there were so many little synchronicities that sort of happened on our journey together. And I think that, every client that has come across my path has had so much impact on me as a coach and, as a human being. But I think that there's definitely a couple of special synchronicities that have popped up between you and I, which I think is pretty cool and something that I will definitely treasure forever. So thanks for being on my journey as well.
It's lovely to hear, because the impact that you had on me as a being and my business being absolutely phenomenal. So I'm glad that it's worked for both of us.
Yes. Tell us just a little bit about you, your business, and who you work with, what you help them with.
I'm a professional nurse by training, and I worked in various fields in the healthcare industry in South Africa. And then in 2009, I was at an NGO working specifically on HIV prevention, treatment, and care. And through that, we kind of ventured into the workplace environment. And it was a really, truly successful business. And they wanted to take it back into the for-profit environment. It was an NGO. And I truly didn't want to go back into the for-profit environment in terms of big corporate and everything that goes with that. I just think, okay, I'm done with that. And I was basically left with nothing because I was stubborn. But through the grace, I then started working, and with the clients that we did work with in the NGO approached me, and from there my consulting business was born. So it wasn't a predetermined decision. So it's quite interesting, maybe your clients all come and say, okay, but I'm going to start my own business. And it wasn't how mine started. It was out of necessity. And we just later that year, we got our first son. And so I needed to work, but wanted flexibility, and decided I'm going to see if this could work. I was very, very scared in the beginning, and not for the financial side of it, but for working alone, because I was always used to working in big teams. And through my journey now for the last, 16 years, I actually have realized that this is a much better option for me, or workplace for me to work, and not in an office and not in a big team, and to work in this format. I enjoy it very much.
And I think it's great to have that awareness, to have the clarity around that, because we can have this major sort of tug of war happening inside of us if we're not actually clear as to what it is that we actually want to create. So I always say we want to know, do we actually want to build a business that's big, that has a big team, or do we want to keep it lean and small? There is no right or wrong, but just knowing that, I think, opens the path to the decisions that you're going to make into the future. It just makes things so much clearer and so much easier and simpler. So what would you say was the thing that sort of drew you to coaching? What was the thing that made you think, I need to get a coach, or I need some guidance on my journey?
Sure, it's a loaded question, but in any case, it's short and sweet. I think, first of all, in the work that we do a lot of counseling, more trauma, grief related. And then I came upon the world of coaching, and I thought, okay, but this is very much more me in terms of being a coach myself, but more in terms of healthcare coaching, because in all my professional life, preventative healthcare was always the thing that drew me. How do we create health and we prevent disease? So I did the coaching course at UCT to kind of understand what it is. But that was to amplify, or to, support or extend the work that we are doing on that side. In terms of the business, as you know, in 2019, our son passed, and that had a traumatic effect on my world. So at first you fall apart and you look after the children, you take care of your house, just maintaining the business, marriage, and you kind of like rebuild everything slowly. And at the end of 2023, I would say, I realized that my business was also now in trouble, or the impact of our household trauma on my business, and I needed help. And because I was so stuck that I couldn't figure out on my own. I knew something had to shift, and I just couldn't get there on my own. And I realized I truly need help. But in the business, I saw some of your videos and posts on Facebook, and I listened to it, and I truly thought, okay, I love the way that you think. I love the fact that you are way younger than me. I needed a different, new, younger age perspective. And I was thinking that the concept of the systems, because I am a not human being orientated I'm task orientated, but my work life asked me to be human orientated, people first and not task first. So I think I ventured into that. And obviously after Carlos's death, and I realized I needed to get back onto a place where systems and a systematic thinking will serve me, because in nursing care, systematic thinking is crucial. And I've been very, very blessed and, successful in that environment. But suddenly I was just stuck, and I needed help to apply that in my business environment also.
So what would you say was if you look at where you started and that sort of sense of feeling stuck, and a year has passed now where you've done a lot in your business, you've achieved a lot, and we're going to dive into those celebrations because I think they are so great. But what would you say is like the biggest, if you could give me like top 3 shifts that happened inside of you, what would you say was the biggest things that really stood out to you in terms of where you were and how you think and feel about your business now?
I think, again, let's start with the systems. And in our last call in the group, the question you asked, how can we improve the system, the process to prevent? So I think like that when I'm working in my business, but I didn't think like that when I had to work on my business. So for me to really think about how do I implement or develop systems and processes to take the pressure off me, because I am rethinking, redoing everything every time. So that. The second thing was truly how I show up. I think for me, that has been life-changing in terms of, in hindsight, I think I did fall into that victim mentality in terms of, what about me? Because I was always serving and over-delivering and busy. But in the process, I lost my heart for what I was doing. And you helped me to question myself in a kind and safe space, to question myself and say, okay, but how do I contribute to feeling that this is not exactly what I want? It wasn't my clients. It was me. But in any case. And the last one, and I did mention that, and I wrote it down here as well, is that I never felt alone. For me to journey with you through this and thinking that, and in hindsight, again, I could have asked way more questions because you were always available and ready to support. But the fact that I knew that you were there, I have a guide, I have a second pair of ears and eyes. I know you would look at things critically. And the distinction, you never looked at me critically. You looked at the things that were happening critically. And I so much appreciate that. I think for all business owners, we have this facade, is that the proper English word, that says, okay, but I need to look as if I have this, and I know what I'm doing, and I am running this, and I'm making money, and everything is just shop. And it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not the truth for various reasons. It's life. Things happen in our world. personally, and then things happen professionally where a contract gets shifted or somebody, so we don't have it all figured out. And to have you there that says, you know what, we are going to figure it out. I am with you. It made a huge difference in my world.
Yeah, I love that. I think when it comes to like coaching and us choosing to work with a coach, there's obviously something that resonates with you in your, like you said, there's something I said or the way that I show up or, just who I am that resonates with you. And then you took that leap and you decided, okay, I'm doing this. Was there anything that you were sort of skeptical about, anything that you felt maybe unsure about or afraid of on the coaching journey? Was there anything that made you nervous about it?
I think at first I thought, would a consulting business really be understood and would all the processes apply? Because I'm not selling goods, there's not I am not taking cash at a cash register. And, I did wonder how my specific business would benefit from the model that you offer to your clients. And obviously it applies to all of us in all our small businesses, because at the end of the day, it comes back to the business owner. It comes back to the same principles, and you are knowledgeable to kind of like shift where it's needed. I mean, some of the other clients also provide services and some provide goods or sell goods, and you have enough knowledge, business knowledge, to shift your mind to apply it at the different areas that we needed support.
So if you look at the journey that you've been on now over the last 12 months, what would you say were some of the unexpected things that resulted from coaching together that you didn't maybe expect in the beginning or plan for in the beginning?
I keep on telling people, oh, I love what I do. But if I'm really honest, when I started my coaching, I kind of like actually didn't enjoy anything in my business. And all I wanted to do is think about retirement and wish my children through high school and, I don't know, win the lottery in 300 million or whatever the case might be. And so the first win for me, which I didn't anticipate, was truly to get back to that place where I thought, okay, but I really enjoy what I do, and I really want to have this business, and I really want to make a success of it. But for me, it was the first step that was needed, because I could have added everything on top of it, and it wouldn't have made a difference. So I didn't know how far away from that I actually was until I experienced the joy of thinking, okay, I like this. And, it is just a case of figuring it out. So the other one was how much I enjoyed the group sessions. And let me say that also, the way that you coach, you don't put us in cotton wool and you stick to what's happening. And I think from a time management point of view, because none of us have 3 hours to do all of this, so I love that very, very much, because I can, when I want to be lazy, I can extend it and just go into a chat. So, so from that point of view, it was lovely. But then the opportunity to work with the other women, you keeping the same group, because you get to understand, to know the people, to understand a little bit about, because all of us have different trigger points and all of us have different, areas that will always be the area that we would struggle with, with regards to our life or our personalities. So for me, how much I enjoyed the group was really a, complete win. And it's contradicting, because I do it when I work with other people, but again, being reminded every single day of how my own thoughts and emotions determine my behavior. So now, when I have this feeling, it really helped me to constantly ask, what is really going on here? What must I see in my behavior when I must ask that question? I think that, and with that comes that concept of, I can never thank you enough, of how do we show up? I ask myself that every single time now when I go to a client, when I see a friend, how do I show up? Who do I want to be? What do I want them to remember? And then the last thing I learned, which I never anticipated, was when you said always protect the income. It was for me such a light bulb moment, because I think in my business I would always think, what's the right thing to do? What's the easiest thing to do? Since I am the oldest person in your group, well, it feels like that. But in any case, so energy for me is always an issue. You know, how will I have enough energy? So I always ask those questions. Or I would ask, how do I make more money? But I've never asked that question or have that sentence. How do I protect the income?
Yeah.
And maybe I thought about it in various different ways, but I've never articulated it so clearly. Yeah. Because it's actually very short and sweet, and I like it that way. How do I protect the income? And given the fact that at the moment in my business there will be a big shift, it helped me so much to say, how do I protect the income for this year? Next year is a difference, but I needed to ask that question right now. And then the next question would be, what do I need in order to protect it?
One thing that truly stood out to me is whenever I said something, especially in the group and even in our one-on-one sessions, if I said something and you did not understand it, or it didn't, like there was an inquiry happening inside of your mind, you would go, just say that again. Just say that again and just explain to me what you mean by that. I love that.
I think because the time with you is short, it forces us. So you actually unintentionally, maybe that was unintentionally, or maybe it was intentional, but you taught us to focus in that moment. Yes. We have this half an hour, or we have this 45 minutes. I need to focus. I need to get out of it, and then it will have an impact.
When we have limited time, it does force you to really consider what it is that you want to ask and what it is that you actually want to work on. But I think the most impactful about that is that it actually forces you to go to the real problem. It forces you to go to the thing that's actually bothering you, and to just like remove everything, like just remove the noise and just get to the point. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So what would you say is next for you? What are you taking with you from this journey into 2025?
I spoke about all the wins, but I think one of the things that I so much needed, and I did at the beginning of this year, was to really look at my business, not me, because we spoke about now the wins in terms of my being and my business, but in terms of the outcomes in the business, or objectives, or the turnover, or whatever. Yeah. It was such a lovely way for me to start this year and to think actually how successful last year was. And you helped me to ask that question, to take that time and to say, but there are so many things that's working in the business. Because when I started last year, I was just overwhelmed and I thought nothing was working. I need to revamp or rebuild or sell or throw it on its head, or I don't know what to do. But I mean, and you always reminded us, no, let's look at what's working, what is there. And for me to apply that as well was really a boost for me to go into this year. These were the products that we developed. These were the courses that we sold, and it really went well. There's always a question of how do we improve it, but the point is that, so for me to use that as a base, I'm really using that. I am firmly standing by the thought of that if I am experiencing pressure, I need to look at what's the pressure I am creating out of whatever's going on. I need to change that. Also during this week when you said, I think, and I just smiled because I think we do get addicted to that chaos. My children were young and my one child is special needs, so life was very chaotic. And when I sat there and we were talking about it, I think, oh my, yes, I was definitely addicted to the total chaos. So to shift that, and we did say that, to shift my business so that it was a big promise of what we really want our clients to buy. And when I really thought about that, it was from the day I had my first day at university. It actually is exactly the same, but it manifests differently. I believe in human potential with everything that I am. So for me, to constantly ask, how do I achieve that? Being a woman of an older age, tomorrow's my birthday, Ilonka. I'm 56 tomorrow. So how do I sell a product that people would think, okay, but we still want to buy it from her? She's not 35 anymore. She's now over 55, but we still want to work with her. So how do I want to show up that would still make them feel safe, but that they are buying the right product? So bringing that into account, and then as well as my personal life. I have 2 teenagers at high school, and they are busy, and full of hormones. So, and I want harmony of all of that, because I don't want to, I want it all. I want it all. I want to be happily married. I want to have 2 beautiful children that is growing and, you know, adventuring on their lives. I want to have a business. I want to be a business owner, and to constantly journey through that and figure out, how do I do that?
Yeah. So what would you say has been the impact of doing this work? If you didn't decide to do this, what would be different, do you think?
Oh, everything. It's too much to mention, because we know that these things speak to each other, and the one influences the other. So everything for me, the way that I'm feeling now, everything is better. I still have probably the same amount of pressure I had last year, January. If I truly look at my desk and what needs to happen. I have work from the previous year that isn't done. I have negotiations for contracts this year, and people are saying, oh, you know, there isn't money, and, you know, so that looks exactly the same. But there are more processes in my business. There are more systems in my business. I have delegated. I am calmer about myself. I do trust myself. It was the biggest gift you gave me that day when you said, we spoke about my anxiety, and you said, I said, oh, I just need to figure it out quicker. And you said, yeah, but then the pressure is on you. How about if you trust? So it was the biggest gift you gave me. And in that is to say, I am going to figure it out. And I believe it 100%. And you gave me that gift of reinforcing that in a 12-month period. If we had one conversation, it wouldn't have worked. Because you would have said it, and I would have heard it, and it blah, blah, blah. So now I believe it, because you've repeated yourself 24 times. I believe it because I looked at what actually the data is saying, and I was lazy with that in my business. And you constantly asked, look at the data, look at the data, look at the data. What's the numbers telling you? And even when we looked at the time and I wanted to do it differently, you allowed me. When I said, okay, I can't look at every minute, I'm going to look at the days. And I think what I said is that 1 month I had 17 working days and I worked 25. And I was like astonished. And I was saying, oh, no wonder I'm tired. I mean, I must be tired if I look at this. So I now know that I can look at the data. I know where to find them. I know. So those things all changed. And I am, and I know where to find you. So I think I'm calmer and I'm more brave. That's probably the 2 things I need to say at the end. My castle crumbled, 2 rooms where my business was. I rebuilt everything else. And you helped me to take every brick and put it back in a place and find the right cement or whatever to put it together. And the base, the foundation is laid. This is how I feel. And now I can journey for the next 10 years in my business and build the bricks the way I want. I can put the window where I want to put it, and that's how I feel.
Yeah, I love that. So, last question. If anyone's listening and they are on the fence about getting coached or asking for support from a business coach, what would you say to them?
stop thinking, say yes. I tried, I've told my friend, and she's also a business owner, this morning, exactly that. I said to her, I don't know why we do this to ourselves, to think that we have to do this alone and figure it out. And business out there is hard. It is hard. It's not an easy environment to work in. And people only have so much resources. So you need to be clear in terms of what I want, what I'm going to sell, why people must do this. And we need help. We do need help. And that is the conundrum, like I said, for business owners. You have these strong women that's taken on the world or people, and they started a business, but we all need help in various aspects. And you are perfect that you were able to look at the individual, but able to look at the business and able to provide bigger support. So there's a technical knowledge and skill that you have that is lovely, and it's just way up there. You have a process-driven process and mind. So you are that you are selling is coaching us on a process while you are taking us through the process. So it is like a double, reinforcement of what we are trying to achieve here. And asking the hard questions in an extremely kind way. And we need that. We need that also, because we do lie to ourselves.
Yes.
And it isn't on purpose to be deceiving or anything. It is just to protect ourselves and our sanity in many ways. But it is an extremely lonely journey to be a business owner, and you need to find that support.
I would like to say thank you for walking this road with me as well, and for trusting me to be, your partner in crime in this, and for everything that I have learned from you as well. I think that we sometimes look up to our coaches and we think that they have it all figured out and they, have it all put together. And in many senses, we don't. And I think the part of the reason why I am so driven to do this work and to work with business owners specifically is because I understand the challenges and that loneliness and, all the hardship that we face on this journey. I understand it so deeply because I'm in the trenches with all of you. Thank you for being courageous and for showing up and for coming to every call. And even if you didn't necessarily feel well or feel like talking about it, you showed up anyway. And that just makes it so much easier for me to do my job as well. So thanks for that.
That's an absolute lovely experience. I appreciate you more than there are words, and the journey, because it needs to be a journey. And that's why, and let me reinforce it, why you need to get the coaching for the year, because nothing that we are struggling with is an easy fix.
Yeah,
there isn't such a thing. So it's a journey, and it's a worthwhile, and it was lovely.
Thank you so much, Judith. I wish you all the best for 2025, and I can't wait to see what magic you create this year.
Thank you. Yes, blessings.